Hello students, hope you all are doing well. So we will start with magnetic effects of electric current. So let's understand who discovered the term magnetic effect and how he was able to observe it. It was discovered by H.C. Oersted in the year 1820. So what did he observe? Actually, he observed that there is a flow of electric current that is passing through a conductor was also able to produce a magnetic field around it. So what did he understand by this discovery? That he came to know that there is a link between electric current and magnetism. So to understand electric current and magnetism, you might have previously learned about conductors. So what are conductors? So what does it do? It allows the flow of charged or transfer of electrons or pass the electric currents. It allows the free movements of electrons, thus generating the electricity. Then what is insulator? So it does not allow any energy to pass through. So here, by this simple experiment, he was able to know that there is a link between electric current and magnetic field. So here it was done like there is a magnetic compass wherein it was connected to, you can see the effect of electric current wherein there is a lamp, there is a connectivity, that is insulated copper wire connected to the lamp. The insulated copper wire is also connected to the electrical generator. So you can see that the uninsulated copper wire, that is, it is between the place where the compass is placed. You can see when the electric current passes through the uninsulated copper wire and there is a deflection of the compass, and this current reaches to the lamp and hence it helps the glow of the lamp or lighting up of the lamp. So the deflection with respect to the electric current gives the magnetic effect of the electric current. So let's understand more about the effects of or magnetic effects of electric current. So to understand it, we need to understand the magnetic field and its field lines. So you might have seen bar magnet. It has south pole and north pole. You can see that N represents the north pole and S represents the south pole. You can see that the region, that is magnetic field. To understand about magnetic field, you can know that there is a region around the magnet. See here, you can see the region around the magnet, that there is a force of attraction or repulsion that can be detected. So when you bring a compass, it shows deflection at the north and the south pole when you bring near it. So you can see that there is an attraction of north and the south pole, but there is a repulsion of the same poles. Same poles do not attract, they repel. So you can see that the force of attraction or repulsion can be detected. Hence this field that is surrounded or the field created around the bar magnet is known as the magnetic field. So it can be detected by using a magnetic compass. You can see this is the magnetic compass. When you bring it near, there is a force of attraction that might cause. So there is a north pole here, the north pole and south pole attracts, there is no deflection, but when you can see the same poles together, there is a repulsion. So next we will know about the magnetic field lines. So these are the paths around a magnet along which north pole of the magnet compass needle tends to move. So here north pole, when you bring here near, the north pole of the compass tends to move, and around the magnet you can see that when you place some iron filings on a piece of paper and you bring a bar magnet around it, there is a moving of the compass around the bar magnet. So that represents the magnetic field lines which is invisible. So let's understand what are the conditions to understand about the magnetic field lines. How does it emerge and what makes it differing, that it does not link together. So let's understand it. Characteristics of a bar magnet and the magnetic field lines. You can see that the magnetic field lines always emerges from the North Pole and it merges, or it goes and merges with the South Pole. So you can see that these poles that is created, they are very near to each other. So closer to the poles, they are closer to the poles. The magnetic field lines are very close to the poles, and the another characteristic is that they do not intersect with each other. So you can see that there is a different lines here. They do not intersect with each other. So next, coming to magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor. So when a conductor, you all always know a conductor conducts electricity. So a current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a magnetic field, what it does or what's going to happen. So let's see that if a magnetic compass is placed near, so you can see here a current carrying conductor wire, the needle is deflected. This shows that a conductor carrying current has magnetic field around it. So as per Oersted, we can see that a conductor, when a wire that carries the current, it passes through a magnetic field, there is a deflection of the needle. So if the direction of the current is from north to south, so what happens? The deflection of the magnetic needle is towards the east. So let's see in this figure that, so when the current is passing from north to south, you can see that deflection is towards the east. But what happens when a current is passing from south to north? So you can see that when current is passing from south to north, you can see the deflection of the needle is towards the west. So magnetic field around the current carrying a straight conductor. So straight conductor, you can see this wire, this is the conductor, it's carrying the current. You can see that when you sprinkle iron filings on it, on the surface, this field creates a concentric circle. So when an electric current is passed through a wire, it can be observed that passing a current carrying straight conductor through a cardboard and sprinkling iron filings, this iron filings forms a concentric circle. So we will understand now right hand thumb rule. So what does it say? That you hold your right hand and your thumb needs to be up direction in the first figure. As per that, remaining closed fingers, you can see that towards the thumb, wherein upwards the current is flowing. If a current carrying conductor is held in the right hand, so if a current carrying conductor is held in the right hand, so it's need not perform at home. So just imagine that you have, just keep your hand closed with your thumbs up sign, wherein you imagine by keeping a pen or a stick inside your hand and close the fingers as shown here, and the current, by placing your thumb up, what does it state? That the thumb points up, wherein the current is flowing in the direction of the thumb, and the fingers wrapped around the conductor shows the direction of the magnetic field. You can see here, this shows the direction of the magnetic field. So in the same way, you place your conductor, that is a pen or a stick, inside your right hand, and you place your thumb down and you close your rest of the fingers. What does this mean? Again, the current is flowing in a downward direction, and you can see that this is the magnetic field around the thumb and the fingers, rest of the fingers. So this states that if a current carrying conductor is held on the right hand such that the thumb is in the direction of the current, then the fingers wrapped around will show the direction of the magnetic field. So next we will understand about magnetic field, which is due to a current through a circular loop. So what happens when a current flows through a circular loop? You can see the connectivity here. So there is a key, battery and rheostat wherein, so there is, you can see that magnetic force of lines and the current is moving in a circular field. You switch on and pass the current. So circular movement, when current is passed through a circular conductor, the magnetic field produced is in the form, see, you can see here, concentric circles on both the sides. And where does it form? Towards the center of the arc. So towards the center, you can see here the arrow mark, it's towards the center of the arc. You can see that the circles become larger and larger and appears in a straight line. When it reaches or near the arc, it becomes a straight line. The current passing through a conductor produces a magnetic field which is in concentric circles, but when it is nearing to the arc, you can see that there is a larger circles formed and it appears to be in a straight line when it is in the middle. So let's understand now magnetic field due to current in a solenoid. The same way we have told that in an insulator wherein you take a wood piece, then wind it with a copper wire or a circular coil is wound to a shape of a cylinder wherein you pass the current through it. This becomes a solenoid wherein, and it's connected to a battery. It behaves like a bar magnet. The ends of the solenoid behaves like a north pole and the south pole. You can see this is the north pole and this is the south pole. So what is a solenoid? It is a circular coil of wire in the shape of a cylinder. You can see here it is in the shape of a cylinder, and you can see that current flows through a solenoid. It behaves like a magnet. See, wire is wound through an insulator and it is connected to a battery. So as per this, the magnetic field is concentrated into the nearly uniform field in the center of the long solenoid. So where the field outside, you can see that inside field is stronger than the field outside. So here we can see that the magnetic field that is produced by solenoid is very much similar to the magnetic field with respect to a bar magnet. The strength of the magnetic field also depends upon the strength of the current, and there is more strength when the coil rotation, see here number of turns are more, then more amount of the current is flown and there is lot of strength, and the magnetic field created also depends upon the strength of the current and the number of the turns. So you can see when there is number of turns increases in the coil, there is more strength in the current and a large magnetic field is produced. So you can see that inside of the solenoid there is a large magnetic field created and there is a weaker field outside. So let's see now what is an electromagnet. So the name itself suggests magnet with respect to the production of electricity or while passing current through a magnet. Through an iron nail it becomes an electromagnet. So you can see here a nail, iron nail is taken and a coil of insulated wire, you can see that insulated wire allows the free flow of electrons and also produces or passes the electric flow. So you can see that at one end of the insulated copper wire there is a battery that is connected, to another end there is a switch. So when you on the switch, there is a passing of the electric current through the battery and through the insulated wire that behaves as a magnet, and when electric current is passed through inside, so this is also an example of a solenoid wherein you can see that magnetize a piece of magnetic material like soft iron when placed inside the coil. So such a magnet is known as electromagnet. So it automatically becomes a magnet. An iron nail wound with an insulated wire and electricity is passed through, it automatically becomes a magnet, which is known as electromagnet. So you can see here it's a current carrying solenoid coil. It is used to magnetize steel rod inside it. So it magnetizes the iron nail inside it or a steel rod when it is used. So that's about electromagnet. So what happens if an electric current is passed through a wire around a piece of soft iron? So it behaves like a magnet and it is called as electromagnet. Also it behaves like a solenoid. So just keep in mind that whenever solenoid is asked, you need to draw this diagram of a nail and a wounded coil of insulated wire connected to a battery. So you can see that a switch. So this is switch is on. So on, this is the symbol. So you'll be learning the symbols in the topic electricity. So let's understand that a solenoid behaves like a magnet when an electric current is passed through a soft iron. So here we will understand the force on conductor carrying current in a magnetic field. So here we can see that A.M. Ampere was a person who suggested that if a current carrying conductor, so current carrying conductor, just don't get confused. It allows the energy to pass through or electrons to pass through. It conducts the electricity. It produces the electricity. Along with that, this produces a magnetic field and exerts a force on the magnet. Here it's hanging magnet, where this is this conductor carrying electricity. Magnet should also exert. See here, when a force is exerted by a current carrying conductor, there is an opposite force that needs to be created by the magnet and on a current carrying conductor. So you can see here this magnet and there is a conductor. You can see that force is created by the magnet and current, direction of the current, and around it as the magnetic field. So let's take an example. If an aluminium rod, so this is an aluminium rod, it is suspended horizontally by a wire between poles of horseshoe magnet. This is horseshoe shaped magnet, and a current is passed through the wire. Then the aluminium rod gets displaced. It doesn't attaches. You can see the movement of the aluminium rod. If the direction of the current is reversed, so direction of displacement is also reversed. You can see that the direction of the current is this way, it gets displaced the other way. So you can see the reversing of the current also displaces in a reversed direction. So what happens here is the force exerted is maximum if the current or the conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So if the conductor, the current carrying conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field, then the force exerted is more or greater. So this is more important. Let's know about Fleming's left hand rule. So you can see the diagram here. As per, so the left hand rule states that follow the hand as per the direction mentioned. So what does it state? the direction of force, that is motion of current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, is given by Fleming's left hand rule. So let's again hold our left hand. So as per the diagram, keep your left hand wherein your thumb should go up, your forefinger that is next to your thumb, the forefinger should go perpendicular to the thumb, that is straight, wherein this middle finger, again you should just cross it in such a way that this forefinger will become perpendicular to the middle finger. So let's understand now Fleming's left hand rule. What does Fleming's left hand rule say? So it states that the force, that is, if we hold a thumb, forefinger and middle finger of the left hand, which is perpendicular to each other, so there is, in the direction of magnetic field, the middle finger, so here you can see that thumb represents the force and the forefinger represents the magnetic field, middle finger points the direction of the current, then the thumb shows the direction of the force. So first we will understand that the middle finger represents the flow of the current, then your forefinger represents the magnetic field, and this will create the force towards the thumb, or the force, that is motion of the conductor. So just understand this. Here you can see that magnetic field, so current in the direction of your forefinger, it's middle finger, forefinger, there is a magnetic field created when a bar magnet is placed, and you can see that force in the direction with respect to the conductor. So next is about electromagnetic induction. So it was proposed by Michael Faraday, and you can see that what did he state. So again it's the same theory or the formula wherein you take an iron rod, then wind up or a coil wire, but here it is different. You connect it to a galvanometer, so you can see the deflection that is happening. So you can see that motion of a magnet with respect to a coil or change in the magnetic field induce potential difference in the coil and produces induced current. So current that doesn't produce naturally but we induce it, it is known as electromagnetic induction. So there are two different cases where we can see that motion of a magnet with respect to the coil produces induced current. So let's understand that if a magnet is moved, so a magnet is moved towards or away from the coil. If a magnet is moved towards the coil or away from the coil, which is connected to a galvanometer, so the needle, you can see here, needle shows a deflection. So it shows a slight change. The needle moves. This shows the current is induced in the coil due to the motion of the magnet. So when you say this is the magnet, that is south pole and north pole, and you have a wound wire that is connected to the galvanometer. So what happens here, when the galvanometer is on, so you can see that when you move this rod, which is a magnet, which is considered to be a magnet, when you push this rod towards the coil or away from the coil, there is a slight deviation in the current. You can see here deviation in the current, which can be seen in the galvanometer. So the second case is a change in magnetic field produces induced current. So when there is a change in the magnetic field, it produces an induced current. Induced current is we are making the current to flow. So take here there is an example wherein take two copper coils of wires wound around a cylindrical paper. So cylindrical paper roll, you are completely winding with coil 1 and coil 2. So you are connecting one coil to the battery and a key attached, and second coil is connected to a galvanometer. So here you can see that when current is passed through the first coil, the galvanometer shows there is a deflection in the second coil here. If the current is disconnected, the needle moves in the opposite direction. So here you can see that the first coil you have connected with a battery and a key. The second coil you have connected to a galvanometer. Inside it you have a paper roll which is cylindrical in shape, and you pass the current through the first coil. Where do you see the deflection? The deflection can be observed in the galvanometer. You can see the deflection to your right side. So placing, so right or the north side. So you can see as per your position, you see that it is to the left and to the north. So what happens? The flow of current is suddenly cut off, or it is disconnected. The needle moves in the opposite direction, that is to the south side. This shows that current is induced due to change in magnetic field. So we are purposefully inducing the current, which shows the change in the magnetic field. So let's see here, direction of induced current. So bar magnet moves through a coil, current induced in the coil. So reversing the current, induced current changes the sign. So from north to south, it becomes south to north. So coil moves past fixed bar magnet. What happens is current induced in coil A, wherein you can see the deflection in coil B. So first coil you are inducing, second coil you can see the deflection. Bar magnet stationary inside the coil. So here no current is induced in the coil. When the current is cut off, where is a continuous flow of current, you can see that inside there is no current induced. So the same way we have seen about Fleming's left hand rule, the same way now you will hold your fingers and keep your hands as per this figure with your right hand. So you can see that direction of induced current is given by, so it's the same way, just the direction is getting changed. Here there is an induced current in the middle finger, forefinger it is the magnetic field, and motion, that is force, that is current that is carrying conductor, force is towards your thumb. So it's the same way that you held the left hand. With respect, the same way you will hold your right hand now. Your thumb, forefinger, middle finger of the right hand is perpendicular to each other, such that thumb points in the direction of the conductor, that is force. The forefinger points in the direction of the magnetic field, and your middle finger shows the direction of the induced current. So till now we have seen about the solenoid magnetic effects of electric current and how it works, and how we are going to induce an electric current with respect to the magnetic field. So to understand it, we need to understand the running of an electric motor. So let's understand now electric motor. What is an electric motor? So motor, you might be using it at your home to pump water into the tank, etc. So you can see that a motor is a device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. That is, you can see that when you switch on the electricity and your motor starts running, that is mechanically it starts working. So what is the principle behind it? So let's understand the principle behind it. You can see that motor works on the principle that when a rectangular coil is placed, so rectangular coil, that is ABCD rectangular coil is placed in a magnetic field. So how it is becoming a magnetic field? You can see the magnets here, north pole and south pole of the magnets, and in between you are placing your rectangular coil, and a current, when it is passed through, a force is acting on the coil which rotates the axle continuously. So it rotates the axle continuously, that generates the electricity and it helps the movement of the motor. So let's understand how the motor works now. So when a current is allowed to flow through the coil, so let's understand now PQRS. The coil starts rotating anti-clockwise. Coil starts rotating anti-clockwise. This happens because downward force of length PQ. So PQ, and the same time an upward force acts on RS. So here we can consider as ABCD also. So what happens is, what is AB? So this happens because downward force acts on length AB also. At the same time, upward force acts on CD. So what happens is, when AB moves down, CD moves up, and CD moves down, AB moves up. So there is a rotation of the axis, or axial rotation is found. As a result, the coil rotates in the anti-clockwise. So here current in the length PQ. So let's understand here current. Let's take AB itself. Current in the length AB or PQRS you can take. So here in the figure it's shown as AB. So let's take it even as PQRS also. So current length AB flows from A to B, or we can consider it as P to Q, and magnetic field acts from left to right and normal to length AB or PQ. So therefore, according to Fleming's, what does Fleming's left hand rule say? That a downward force acts on AB. So when the current passes through AB, there is a force opposite. So we have already seen that magnetic field should oppose, or there is an opposite force that is going to act on the conductor that carries the current. So now AB is carrying the current, there is an opposite force by the magnetic field, hence there is an opposite anti-clockwise rotation. So what happens here? When the coil AB, or the position of AB and RS interchange, so AB, CD interchange, you can see PQRS interchange, the half ring, so X and Y you can see brushes, and split rings here PQ or AB you can take as per your wish. You can see if you are taking ABCD as the coil here, you can see as split rings P and Q. If you are taking as PQRS, you can say split rings A and B. So either of the way is correct. So you can see therefore direction of the current in the coil ABCD or PQRS. So instead of ABCD you can take it as PQRS also, gets reversed. So there is a half rotation and it gets reversed. You can see that now the current flows in the direction reversed. So DCBA, or you can see that SRQP. So let's understand what it is, like direction of current through the coil. So here PQRS is also correct and ABCD is also correct. So ABCD reverse after half rotation. So the current that flows ABCD, it shows half rotation of the axle. Then it reverses the current starts passing through DCBA. If you are taking PQRS, the current first passes through PQRS, then there is a half rotation of the axle, then the current reverses and it flows that SRQP. So don't get confused with the naming here. In this you can even mention it as PQRS or you can mention it as ABCD. The result of the working mechanism of motor remains the same. Here you can see that split rings help to reverse the direction of the current. So once it moves first half, it helps in the reversing of the current, and this is called as commutator. So the split rings acts as a commutator, that is, it helps in the reversing of the electric current. So we have now understood about the electric motor. Now we will understand about the electric generator. So generator, you might have seen you using it in the fields, or you can use for the household appliances, etc. So what does generator means? It is generation of the electric current. So here you can see that this works with, again the same principle follows, but there is a slight difference, that their electric energy was getting converted into mechanical energy in the electric motor. Here it works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So electromagnetic induction, that is, it converts mechanical energy into electrical energy, that is, you are going to produce electricity and the generator is going to operate. So let's see the construction here. Loop ABCD. Again here you can see ABCD, or you can use it as PQRS. So here ABCD is rotated in a permanent magnetic field. So the magnetic field, magnets as North Pole and South Pole. So you can see that it can be used as a permanent magnetic field, and you have placed an axle which is connected to a brushes, that is X and Y, and there are two split rings. So you can see the brush here at the end and the rings, that is split rings. So one is, both the ends are connected to the galvanometer, and you can see the coil here, that is in a rectangular form. Again it is almost the same with respect to the motor, but only difference is that there you switch on the electricity and mechanical energy, the working principle works on, but here it is that mechanical energy will be converted into electrical energy. So you can see here you have marked as ABCD, or you can even mark it as PQRS. If you are marking it as PQRS, you need to make it split rings as A and B. So you can see that if you are marking it as shown in the figure ABCD, the split rings you need to make it as P and Q. If you are using it as PQRS here in the rectangle, so split rings you need to give it as A and B. So let's understand here. It ends at a connected with two semicircular rings. So it is two semicircular rings. It's not complete rings, it's semicircular rings as shown in the figure. These rings are insulated from each other. Why it is insulated? Because it should not allow the electricity or a generator to pass through. So it can slide while remain in contact with the brushes X and Y. Means it helps in the movement of the axle forward and backward, and also it is connected by a galvanometer at the two ends of the brush. So let's understand that here you can see that after half rotation, the ring P comes in contact with the brush Y. So it's cross here. This ring P after half rotation will come in contact with brush Y, and ring Q will come in contact with brush X. Thus brush X is always in contact with side moving upwards, and brush Y always contact with slide moving down. So once it moves up and down, you can see that P contacts with Y and Q contacts with X. So this movement generates a current that is known as direct current. So this type of generator is also called as DC generator, that is direct current producing generator. Similarly, instead of half ring, if a full ring is used, then it is known as AC current that can be generated, or it is known as AC generator. So let's understand the working here. On rotating the loop of a magnetic field, the side here again AB moves upward. So here when there is a movement, first rotate the axis, so you can see that movement upwards, and CD moves downwards. So magnetic flux linked with charge that is induced wherein direction of Fleming's right hand rule, the current will follow the path wherein it is BA. So just see here BA GDC. So you can see BA GDC. So here you can see movement of axle, that is GDC. So that completes the electric generator. Now we will see about direct and alternating current. So let's understand what is DC. DC in short form, it is known as direct current, as in short form it is known as DC. So when it is called as a direct current, when a current always flows in one particular direction. So it is flowing in one particular direction, it is known as direct current. So how we can know it is a direct current? The current that is already stored in a battery, we get the current from the stored battery, it is known as direct current. Then what is alternating current? So let's see what is alternating current, or it is known as AC. So the current that reverses its direction periodically is known as alternating current. Here you can see with respect to time the current flow. So once it goes up, the current is going in a single direction, the upward direction, then it reverses, then it goes upwards. That is known as alternating current. So you can see that most of the power stations in our country producing alternating current. So here alternating current changes the direction. When does it change the direction? It is every 1/100 second. And its frequency, what is the frequency of the current? That is 50 Hertz. Hertz is represented by Hz. So what is the advantage of alternating current over direct current? So direct current cannot be used for long distances, but alternating current can be transmitted, that is transmitter. So you can see that electric power stations, you can see they are using transmitters for carrying the current, or offering, or you can see that almost all across the world the current gets carried over from one household to other, and also for industrial uses and other purposes. This alternating current can be stretched for long distances without much loss of energy. So the next part we will see here, that is domestic electric circuit. So we will be using electric powers over homes supplies through our mains. So once there is a varying in the current, there is a drip off of the mains, and it has two wires. So what is two wires here? One is the live wire, that is positive wire with red insulation, it is dangerous, and also it is neutral wire, that is black insulation. So you can see that there are two different wires. One is live wire where the current flows, and the other one is neutral wire with a black insulation. The potential difference between two wires is 220 volts. The households with potential difference of current that is being used is 220 volts. The earthing wire is of green insulation, which is connected to a metal plate kept in the ground. So we can see that here two different circuits are used. So one is of 15 ampere for appliances with high power rating, geysers, air conditions, etc. And we use a lesser one, that is 5 ampere for fans, bulbs, etc. So you can see that these different appliances can be connected in parallel. So this parallel and series will be seen in the topic electricity, so that every appliance gets equal voltage, there is no shortage of electricity, and even one is switched off, the others will not be affected. So can you see that once you on the television and off it, you see that rest of the other appliances like fans, washing machines or refrigerators getting switched off? No, it is not happening. So it's because the parallel connectivity of the electric current. So the parallel circuit wherein whichever appliance you are owning, that can be on and switched off. And also that it also saves the power. So you can see that appliances having metallic body like electric iron, refrigerators, etc., they are connected to earthing wire so that there is no leakage of the current and also prevents the electric shock. So let's see the domestic electric circuit here. We have seen 3 wires here, that is live wire which is connected to the electric meter, and it is distribution box and it gets distributed. So neutral wire, that is fuse board, electric meter, when there is a high voltage variations, this gets a signal and there is a fuse attached, it gets stripped off. So you can see what is the difference of potential with the household current, that is 220 volts. So earthing wire which is connected to separate appliances which requires a metallic appliances. So why these wires are used separately? So let's understand that domestic electric circuit wherein it prevents damage to the appliance when certain overloading or short circuit happens. So there doesn't happen a huge damage to the appliances or the households. So earthing wire is connected to a metallic body and it is buried deep inside the earth. So it is to safeguard the whole household from getting electrical short circuits or getting caught with fire. So to avoid certain fire hazards and accidents, the earthing wire is connected, and also it provides a low resistance conducting path for current. Any leakage of the current to the metallic body does not give shock to the user to avoid. So you can see that certain times you go and touch some electric switches, you have a short shock, you get a shock. So this earthing wire prevents the shock to the users. Let's understand the importance of electric fuse. It's an important point wherein electric fuse is a safety device. You can see it has been used in almost all the electric circuits. It protects the circuit and appliances, and it helps to prevent the damage due to overloading and short circuit. Here what happens is it's a wire having high resistance and low melting point. So it should have high resistance, right? So low melting point means a short amount of electricity, it melts the fuse, then there is no use. So you can see that if excess current flows also, the circuit should be able to maintain it and also hold that fuse wire. What happens is it melts. It stops the further flow of the high electric current. The fuse wire melts and breaks the circuit. And you can see that there is no loss of electric current, no damage to any appliances, and you are also safe. So from what the fuse wire is made of? It's made of a metal or an alloy of metals like lead, tin, aluminium and copper. So you can refer to the alloy with respect to the topic metals and non-metals. Fuse wire is connected in series with live wire because live wire has a continuously flow of electric current. This needs to be connected when there is an overflow of current or this live wire, this fuse wire also gets connected to live wire and it cuts off the electric supply. So then what do you understand by overloading? So overloading is caused by increase in the voltage. It sometimes happens, and if the live wire and neutral wire will come in contact or too many appliances are connected to a single socket. You can see that in your house. So 2 or more appliances are connected to one socket itself. There is an overloading happens. and it also results in overheating of the wires, and it causes damages to the circuits and the appliances too. Then what is short circuit? Short circuit is caused by live wire and the neutral wire. When these both come in contact, a sudden increase in the circuit. So you should make sure that live wire and neutral wire doesn't come in contact with each other. So it causes a spark, it causes fire and damage to the electric appliances and also the circuit. So that's all about the magnetic effects of electric current. Hope you all have understood. Thank you for watching.